a applause break in the new Block special is I go, I've never been lonelier than in a relationship I didn't want to be in. and people are like, yeah. It gets like a slow roller, like,
that's
ooh.
Good. That's good. That's so good. That's so true.
Yeah, because I'm single, not married, don't kids, and it's like, do I get lonely? Yeah. But
you're also not miserable.
Yeah, and I know a lot of lonely married people.
Yeah, there's a great quote somebody said once, I'd rather be alone than wish I was alone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like alone has its problems.
Yeah.
But it's very manageable.
It's certainly much more manageable than being in a shit relationship. Because if you're alone, you can meet someone nice.
Uh-huh.
But if you're in a shit relationship and you can't get out, you living together.
And if you meet somebody nice, you got to call a lawyer, Joe.
Oh, no. And you got your bills all tied up together. And maybe, you're not married, but you did buy the house together. Like, oh, God. Oh, God.
I had a girlfriend move in with me, and somebody goes, mark the date down. And I was like, why? And they go, because California common law says that if you live together for 7 years, you're basically married.
Oh my God.
And he goes, it just happened to so-and-so 2 days after 7 years.
2 days after 7 years, they got hit?
Yep.
Wow.
Not married.
Maybe you should have like a clock, like one of those digital clocks, like the
countdown.
The debt countdown.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
let's just count down to 7
baby,
years.
we got to get the fuck out of here.
5 years in, you're like, oh, I'm getting a little itchy.
Yeah.
This is dangerous.
Yeah. So
what happened with this friend? Did someone file oh boy.
Uh-huh.
Looking for a big payday.
Uh-huh. And I think they got it.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's just stealing money from people.
It's another thing that's in the new special where I say it's like relationships are reliant on like this is a shared thing. And then at a certain point they go, I've been pretending. And then you have to look through it and try to figure out when they were pretending and when they weren't. And then you just have to accept like, oh, this might have all been a grift. And I've seen it. It's happened to me, and not for money, or not a lot of money. And I've seen it happen to guys I know with a lot of money, and they get.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like people that look at someone who's got money and you act like a predator. And you get close to them, and you pretend you like them, and you date them, and you fuck them. It's like a very high level of prostitution.
Yeah. That
people engage in.
It's like to me it has a lot more to do with sociopathy.
Oh, it does. Yeah, for sure.
It's like, what did you do?
But then you've also got the ego of the guy who thinks this like.
I earned it fair and square.
Bomb ass 30-year-old woman is into him.
I always got hot chicks, bro.
That's on you, stupid. Like, look at that. Look at this. Of course, this isn't a fair fight.
Well, that's whenever I'm on dating apps, I just go, have I ever dated someone who looks like this? Like in this area of hotness? And if I have, then I'll like them.
That's a good move.
But if they're way, I'm like, there's no point. I wouldn't trust them.
It's so rational.
I don't trust you, lady.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be. You're here for the wrong reasons.
I do really enjoy when I see those couples, though, of like this aged, fucking decrepit man and this bomb-ass wife. I love
Louis
that story.
had a fucking great joke about it. Louis' most recent special, incredibly good. The one before that, excellent. But he had a joke about you're old, you got money, we get together for a couple years, I die, you keep the change. It was so fucking funny.
That's a great line.
Keep the change. But that doesn't bother me.
No, it doesn't bother me at all.
That's a fair, everyone knows what's happening.
Yeah.
He knows what's happening.
Yeah.
She knows what's happening.
Yeah.
Everyone who sees them knows what's happening. It's when they could be very high status and get a lot of good-looking girls, high status women, and then they were in it they were just lying.
Yeah.
And there's nothing Nothing you can do about it.
Not a
and then
damn thing.
They can add the women can add the resentment to it. Like, you knew I didn't care. What would I did it and they can justify it in their own heads because, like, you made me wait and I did it. I would rub your feet and just all this shit of like, lady, I thought you meant it.
It was a job.
Yeah.
It's a long hit.
Yeah.
It's a long financial hit.
Yeah.
And that's men are vulnerable to that, but so are women. A lot of older women, young guy comes along, fitness trainer. Hey, baby, doesn't Cher have like a 35-year-old boyfriend?
I hope so.
I think she does. Good for her.
Yep.
But for some reason that bothers people more than when the old man gets fucked over.
It bothers people.
When
wow.
He's young.
36. I think it said he's 36.
How old is she now?
70.
He looks like a discount Chris Brown.
By the way, that's her real hair color.
What? What?
It said 40-year age gap. Yeah, she's 76.
Wow, good for her.
Cher
Good
was like
for
a good.
her.
Cher was a good cultural thing.
Why does she have to defend the 40-year age gap? Who gives a fuck? He's a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
Why does anybody give a shit? Like, once someone's in their 30s,
Yeah.
like, why would you give a shit?
Well, I think when they do it, when it's an older man and it's a younger woman, it assumes that women are feeble. It's like old. It's like old. It's like Elizabethan fucking like, will a man? It's some of it shows some of the Me Too stuff where they go, he used his power. All right, okay. Do I have power? When do I have power? When don't I have power?
Yeah.
I don't. But it's just nosy and gossipy. It's like when people get mad that DiCaprio's not married.
Right, and that his girlfriends are always 25.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah,
That's what he likes.
If it was a 25-year-old guy and a 40-year-old woman, no one would care.
No, they'd love it. You go, girl.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, doesn't that Kate Beck?
To jump on that thing about the common law marriage and the dangers, it's not just marriage. Like, here's a true story of a friend of, I believe it was a friend of my sister's boyfriend, right? I know, it's like third person, but this seriously happened. So he was dating this girl. These people were not married, right? He's dating this girl for a long time. He buys a house, right? She moves in with him. And after a while, after a few months go by, she's like, my dad, he's having some trouble. Do you mind if my dad comes and stays with us? He's like, but what are you going to do? You don't want her to be unhappy. So you say yes. Dad moves in. First, he's all helpful. Then you realize he's a drunk bastard, being an asshole all the time. Anyway, so they have all these confrontations, him and her father, and they kind of, make themselves at home, act like they own the damn place, to the point where it gets like the father's becoming irate, makes his life complete hell. So he ends up calling the cops or something happens. But anyway, they ask him to leave. I capito. Like, he gets restrained because the girlfriend said that he was the one that was violent and she's afraid of him. So essentially they get a restraining order against him that he's the one that owns the house, right? So he can't even come to his own house anymore. And he's stuck paying the mortgage every month. This whole situation went on for over a year before he was able to get him out. So over a year, he couldn't live in his own house because of this situation. I'm telling you, it's dangerous. Be careful who you move in with. Like, people don't think about this stuff. They think, well, if you're married or this or that, it's like, man, you don't have to be married. You don't have to be married. You just have to have something. Have something that somebody could want, and you're putting yourself in a situation where people will go to extreme lengths to rip it from you. And it's not just relationships, it's any type of relationship, friends and whatever, family even. But specifically, there's something about being in a relationship that makes the other person feel entitled to your success, to take credit for what you have. And when you try to separate, when you have something and try to split up with somebody, I'm telling you, they rip part of you away. It's become stalkerish. It's just a whole nother level. I was easy for me dating when I was poor. When I was a broke 22-year-old with no car, just chilling, drunk half the day. You broke up with somebody, the lady's like, okay, whatever, that's it, goodbye, you departed. Marona, once you have money, once you have a house, a car, you start doing well for yourself, and the other person doesn't have these things, you can't just say buy and buy. You think it's that easy? Anyway, that's all I have to say about it. That specific thing. And then, don't even get me started on the common law. You live with somebody for a couple of years, they can claim that you are married. Oh yeah, well, you have to present yourself as a married couple. Listen, if one of the people has to say that you did, then it's on you to prove that you didn't. Capito, it's pretty easy to get caught up in this. All you have to have is one person who gets a lawyer and says this is how it was. Then you're stuck getting a lawyer fighting to prove it wasn't so. And if it's the woman, Capito, then you're already at a disadvantage, because who's going to believe who? The poor girl that's crying, oh, he did this to me. Or you're a brute ass, like, oh, I didn't do nothing. Capito. They'll be like, give him the guillotine. Away with the head. So anyway, that's my 2 cents about that. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, buy red and sell green.